Hello everyone, this is the Pennsylvania Florida Eastern back for another DCC install. This is a Paragon 3 J1a Pennsylvania Railroad locomotive. Right now I took out the original Paragon 3 board. This board in particular is, if I can zoom in, this is a HO300E, says it right there, near the D14 capacitor or resistor. So this is one of those early ones that didn't have really good capacitance. Put that aside. Right now I'm doing the first wire, which is the right rail. And luckily for the J1, it's very easy to know which one's which. And it's kind of gluey, this one. I don't know what happened for that one. What I did is I took the smoke unit out because I don't really need that anymore. Took whatever this junk was. This is what I'm left over with. This came inside the front of the boiler at the front LED. I already took the wires out for plus and minus so that when I get this thing ready, hopefully the LED is working again, or the LED is still good. Otherwise I'll have to replace this LED with something else. So that should be good for that. We'll do that later. We'll push that back into the boiler once I'm ready to do some of the extra lighting stuff. Right now I'm doing right rail, left rail, motor minus, motor plus, and then I'm going to do a quick test to see if it works. And then after that's done, I'll be doing the rest, which is the forward headlight and the rear headlight. This is rather easier than the H10 that I did in my previous video. There's no extra lighting features, there's no cab light or marker lights. So this should be really easy. I'll probably keep those wires still available in case if I ever really want to add more stuff. I don't think the J1 did have marker lights, but they're super tiny, and I don't really want to put LEDs up in there. Right here's the example where the possible marker lights were. And on the back of the tender, there are marker lights back here, which I'd probably most likely do at some point, and just drill those holes out for each of those marker lights so I can put two red LEDs back there, and then I can have a function where I can do that. For cab lights, I'm not 100% sure. There's a little hole in the back top right corner. You can't really see, unfortunately, but there's a little hole back there. So if I wanted to put an LED in there, I could, but we'll see. It's a little bit out of my league at this second. So I'll see you guys in the next sequence where I have right track and left track ready. Right now I already have one wire disconnected. So, and I'll have this one. This is another right rail one I could do as well for a track pickup on the first truck. And I'll have it connected to here. Because on the locomotive it's gray, so I'm like, oh, I can use this as a gray too, and the black will go to the left rail. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next segment. Hello everyone. Right now I'm on the second stage. I haven't gotten the motors, motor plus and motor minus, connected yet, but I want to make an important point where before you do motor plus or motor minus, you want to check and see if there's any shorts. If you have rail right and rail right and the right connection, and rail left with rail left on the locomotive. I'm not sure if it is very super important. I guess I'll see once I get motor plus and motor minus connected. I have the decoder plugged in to check for some continuity testing. Some people are like, well, you shouldn't really do that. You should use a multimeter. But, the best way to see is to see if it, reacts when they're connected to each other, and you put it on the track and you turn the power on. So it's one way to do it. You can use a digital multimeter, but I feel like it's better just to go back and forth to my track to just, check and see how it would work in a real world situation. So it's a way to do it. Next thing I'm going to do is do the motor minus and motor plus wires, and then I'll do another test to see if it runs correctly. And then if not, I'll swap the wires pretty much. It's not hard or anything. I didn't cover them with, I didn't shrink the heat shrinking tube yet, so you want to still have the heat shrinking tube on your wires so when you're ready to permanently, close that area off that you're working on so it doesn't cause any shorts. It's good to have that heat shrinking tube already on there so that you don't have to worry about it later. So I'll see you guys in the next segment where I have the motor plus and motor minus. And the reason why I don't show the testing with the motor, with the track and the wiring stuff, is because you can figure this out yourself if you're following along on this with this Paragon 3 J1a, for example. So it's really not hard. I know it may seem like it, looking at all these wires going everywhere, but it's really not that bad. It's very intuitive by just looking at where this goes right here. This is pretty much your main area of focus, is right here. Everything behind that is just going to the wiring diagram and whatnot. So after I do the motor plus and motor minus wires in the test, we'll come back to here and we'll discuss about what to do next after that. All right, see you then. All right, everyone. I got the voltage plus for the front headlight and rear headlight ready to go. I twined the wires for the positive of the headlight in the rear, and I got this going all the way to voltage plus, to then go all the way to this wire right here, which will then attach this red wire over here. What I'm going to do, I don't know. Now, originally this engine's headlight was not working. I'm pretty sure it had to do something with this mess over here. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to figure out what's going on with this, see if that headlight actually works. And if it doesn't, well, I could always put in a new LED in there. And I have a couple of LEDs in here, but I could probably buy another LED at some point and just easily just solder it back onto this board. And then from there I can just don't have to really do much. I don't have to redo any wiring or anything like that. I just have to put a new LED in there. So that's the plus side if that LED does not work. Other than that, I just want to get the locomotive ready to go for running purposes. So just to let you guys know, this is a TCS WOW 1516. It basically just has a regular simple capacitor and not a keep alive capacitor to go along with this model. And I really don't, because this is a 210-4 with a coast-to-coast tender, so there's a lot of pickups on this locomotive, so I'm not really worried about continuity. But if I wanted to go overboard and over-engineer it so that it will not fail, I could always splice these two wires and get a keep alive capacitor for like $10-20 and then just replace that. And that goes for my N1 as well that I did the work on. So right now I'm pretty much finishing up. I gotta get this ground wire from the rear headlight to then be wired to that yellow wire back there. So that is for the rear headlight. As we can see right here, F0R. That's what will be done. And then I have this brown wire. This is the ground for the brown wire, which will connect to that. And then this wire will connect to the white wire, but I haven't pulled one of the ground wire yet from one of the pins around here, so, or the JST plugs in that case. And then I'll connect it to there. And then I will do one more test before I put this locomotive pretty much back together. Hopefully it should be smooth sailing. I obviously have to put this back inside the boiler first because I need to know, because the wires have to go through the boiler and pretty much up through here and then down inside here. So you can see there's a hole right there, and I got to screw it back in. There's some 2 screws for the weight to go in, so I'll put that in there, and then I'll screw that down, make sure the wires go through here first, And it'll probably be like laying down right next to this. And I'll probably add some more length to the wires so that it's not extremely tight or anything like that. And then we'll put the boiler back on and I'll keep this open most likely, and then I'll do a test run, see if everything works as it should. And then the last thing I will do is wire up the speakers and then pretty much clean this mess up, make everything look neater and bunched up. And then the coder will go in with this obviously because that's where the speakers are connected to. And then this engine will be ready to go to do running, and hopefully I'll run this at the club. I have never ran this engine at the club, so hopefully with the TCS WOW I don't have to worry about any Broadway inconsistencies. So I'm really excited to get my J1 ready to go and running with modern sounds and motor control and whatnot. So it'll be fun. This was an easier project to do. It's not taking me as long. I started about maybe 2 hours ago or something like that. I had some other things to do in the meantime, so I might not count that as much. So this has been an easy project. In the future, I'll do some more difficult projects. Really, the only get as complex as the H10, where there's cab lights and marker lights. So, yeah. I'll see you guys in the next segment where I have pretty much the shell back on, and I'll explain what I'm going to do next afterwards, and I'll let you know if everything works. And if everything works out fine back here with the speakers, I will do one more video after that, a little segment where I have the locomotive on the layout, and we'll do a test run, see how everything works, and I'll already have my sounds that I prefer on there as well. See you then. Alright everyone, I got the locomotive shell back on. I had to put a new LED in there. I kind of accidentally burned out this LED. This guy's more brighter, however he's not really color correct. So that's a downside, but it's whatever. In real life I don't know what they would do, but LED fits snug in there. I got the weight put back in there as well. I'll put the smoke box door plate back on, and then we'll give her a test run. After I wire, you see the red and black wire right there are intertwined. That is the speaker wires. They will be connected to the two purple wires that are on this plug right here that goes into the back of this decoder. And then once that is done, we'll plug this guy back up, clean this guy back up, and then we'll do the test run in the next segment. So this is pretty much near the end of this this video on how I put this J1 together with the TCS WOW. Of course, anything after blue line, you most likely will have to take apart, open up the locomotive, look at the board back here, because this board back here on every single engine usually will tell you which wire goes to what for the JST plug right here that goes to the tender. So you really want to be able to see what's going on here. Some locomotives may do something else. I haven't come across that yet. I have yet to do that with any other locomotive. Probably when I get there, I'll let you guys know. So yeah, this project's getting close to an end. It's probably taken me 3 or 4 hours now. So probably by the end of this, it'll probably be 3 or 4 hours to do this sitting. This is a pretty simple engine in my opinion to just, do a rewire and whatnot. So I'm really excited to have this J1. I haven't used this J1 in a while, and mainly because the headlight's not really running that well. So hopefully after this is done, should be working right. By the way, I had to, that gray wire that I had originally attached to the LED that would go up front here, that gray wire attaches to the right rail, and that pretty much caused this guy to blow out. So you know, you learn as you go. So I instead took a green wire, like a leftover one of these wires I had on my earlier decoder installs on the M1. I took a wire and then I completely just directly soldered it to the point of the 3-volt lettered pin, which is, I believe, the third wire down that connects to this resistor right here. So now this works properly. It's a bright LED. I got this from my Arduino kit, so you know, you got spare parts right away, and that's where I use my 1.0k ohms from as well. So it's nice and bright. The rear was nice and bright, but it's a different color. However, you know, it's fine. Let's just say, you know, this engine got a new headlight bulb, and it's a little bit more modern than we thought. It's more white, like it's slightly bluish, but more white in color. So you'll see that when we do the next section. All right, guys, I'll see you in the running session portion, and we'll get this engine running.